afternoon, good evening to all of you who have joined us today from around the world. Monji USA is delighted to welcome you on this online live gathering and USA Unit to Unity, a path to reconciliation to interact with Mohanji. It is my honor and pleasure to welcome Mohanji, a world-renowned humanitarian who has dedicated his life towards serving the world. I connected with Mohanji way back in 2010. I chanced upon a powerful blog, Consciousness is Everything, written by Mohanji, and was simply blown away and have since been deeply connected with him. It was in 2013 when I finally met Mohanji physically and have known him since as a lover of humanity, as he believes humanity to be the best religion for this world. Humanity beyond all man-made barriers such as caste, color, creed, nationality, and culture. His love extends to all beings on earth, and he walks the path of ahimsa, non-violence, in thought, word, and action. He's driven by the conviction that we should all leave the earth a better place after having lived on it. A non-conformist by nature, Mohanji avoids putting himself into frames and sees himself as a friend of the world, be it aiding the poor and helpless, empowering those in emotional or mental torment, guiding those seeking personal and spiritual development, caring for birds and animals, or caring for the environment at large. Mohanji's nature radiates that of a loving mother, a best friend, a devoted family man, a lucid philosopher, and a loving guide, offering his help and assistance unconditionally. Little wonder that each person sees or connects with Mohanji differently in their own unique manner. As Mohanji says, I am what you consider me to be. Monji Foundation USA was established in 2013 with the guidance, blessing, and inspiration from Mohanji. The foundation is involved in various activities and practices to serve our local communities in raising awareness at all levels: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Serving, undertaking, collaborating for charitable, cultural, environmental, and social initiatives, all of which are inspired and guided by Mohanji himself. ACT Foundation, Early Birds Club, the Himalayan schools of traditional yoga, traditional dance, traditional language, and the martial arts invest in awareness, a unique program for the corporates and the World Consciousness Alliance. Mohanji created these platforms so people can participate, contribute, and volunteer as per their interests and inclinations. We are deeply grateful to Mohanji, who is currently in Finland, for his time today. Thank you, Mohanji, and a very, very warm welcome to you. Today's conversation with Mohanji will be hosted by our own Hollywood actor and an activist for quality healthcare in America, Mayank Saxena. Mayank has always had a natural affinity with spirituality, having been introduced to spiritual practice early in life. He has noticed a direct correlation between when he practices meditation and increased feelings of equanimity, calmness, peace of mind, and intuitive connection with those who are non-physical. Likewise, he has noticed scattered thoughts, a cloudy mind, and fatigue when he does not meditate. He's ever learning about one's ability to maintain oneness while also being involved in this physical reality. Mayank is an actor residing in Los Angeles and has appeared in numerous critically acclaimed roles on television shows in the United States. His favorite quote is, "You are so free, you can choose bondage." Think about it. The floor is yours, Mayank. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, and welcome to everybody. We have a lot of people who are joining today from all across the world. We have old friends who are excited to see Mohanji again and see what he has to say. And we have new friends who are joining us today who also have never seen Mohanji. So I'm very excited to have this opportunity, Mohanji, to get to converse with you and to see what wisdom you have to offer to us. So thank you very much, and namaste and pranam, Mohanji.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this program.
Of course. So today, friends, we are going to be doing what's called Satsang. So Satsang, for those who don't know, means spiritual discourse, where we have the opportunity to collect pre-selected questions and ask Mohanji. So Mohanji, if you're ready and with your permission, shall we?
Yes, please go ahead.
So the first question is coming from a lens of living here in the United States. You know, the United States is quite a melting pot of people from a lot of different cultures, a lot of different heritages, a lot of different traditions, and even religions and theological beliefs. Yes. And so my question then comes to, for especially new listeners, can you explain what is unit and what is unity, and what is the difference between living in a unit versus a unity, and how do we reconcile that living in a community, in our country, in our world?
Well, being a unit or experiencing being a unit simply means you are settling down in yourself. That takes total acceptance. We park our body in some place and we believe we settle down there. When you ask people, where have you settled down, you will tell about a location, a space. That's only parking the body for some time, let's say until death. But that's not settling down. But when you have fully settled down into yourself, that's the only time when we are becoming a unit. Otherwise, we are scattered. When mind is scattered on various things, we cannot call ourselves settled. So this is the first point. Being a unit simply means through acceptance, through contemplation, thinking constantly about what is this thing called me? Who am I? What am I? And through contemplation, you arrive at a space that fundamentally we are not the body. We are neither the time. We cannot arrest ourselves to anything which is external, nor internal, which are the emotions or the memories. When we realize that we cannot really pin ourselves on anything outside or anything inside, that's the time when reality dawns in us. That's the time when you start realizing we are much larger, much deeper than what we seemed. That's a time when we start looking at the universe as one. What is in me is what is everywhere. It's every place. The whole idea becomes more of reality-based, not personality-based. But for the world, you only need personality. People recognize you for who you are in this world, what you project. But that's only one part of it. That's only one aspect of it. Then you realize that this is not it. There is much deeper. So when you realize what you are as a unit, means you are a constitution, a complete constitution, ageless constitution. Constitution doesn't mean the body. Body is temporary, like a rent-a-car. We have taken for some time from birth till death, and we are leaving it behind. That's when real meditation happens. So I hope I have answered this. Yeah.
No, yes, you have. And so this settling into that introspective meditation that you're speaking of, Mohanji, of when you talk about this reality that you start to experience, is that the same as unity? Is that what is the same as God? Is it the same, or is it just the beginning of the realization process towards God?
Yes. When you really start settling down within you, the first aspect you feel is that deep contentment. Not a contentment when we are associated with some material outside. That's very temporary. A relationship, situation, a position, or any possession, that relationship, there is a contentment happening, but that's very temporary. But we must realize that beyond the temporary, there is a permanent state where we are always contented. So first and foremost, feeling that we get when we enter into ourselves, totally occupying our space and being one with ourselves, settling down into ourselves, we feel total contentment with or without anything outside. It does not matter what is outside, because that's all relative things. Only when you wake up, you have it. When you sleep, you can't use it. So that temporary are the materials and the relations and the positions outside. So we will start looking at life in a more realistic way. Look at, this is not what I am. I'm not a relative existence. I'm more real, more realistic. I'm not even bound by time. Those effects starts materializing from within. And that's very powerful. Nobody can take it away from you. Nobody can steal that state, that feeling. And then you start feeling so powerful, so much like, okay, finally I have understood. I am this unit which is just like a drop which has an ocean waiting for it, you know. And the drop's position itself separate from the ocean is to know the ocean. Why did you separate? So that I can know where I belong to. Then finally, once that understanding and awareness happens, you fall into the ocean, the drop falls into the ocean and becomes the ocean. Then you are expansion, you are the universe.
That's a beautiful explanation. Thank you. But when we are feeling very much like the individual drop, even though we're trying to realize we are part of the ocean, like when we're dealing with emotions of hate, of anger, guilt, jealousy, especially when it's in relation to other people, how do we overcome those individualistic emotions? Oh, I think you're on mute. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, the individualistic emotions are natural because we are a human being, right? And we are supposed to experience those things. They are natural. What we need to do is to accept them. I have anger, I have hatred, or I have feelings, I have emotions. Let it be. Because those are flavors of life. They are different flavors of life, which is part of our existence called experience. Take two pillars. One pillar or one benchmark or one landmark is birth. We are born. And one is death. These are two boundaries which you cannot change. At a particular time, you are born. At a particular time, you will leave. Within these boundaries, a series of experience, moment by moment by moment, we are experiencing. And that's exactly the sum total of the whole life. What you experience at the age of 10 is different from what you experience at the age of 20. Likewise, the journey of spirituality is from mind to consciousness. So when you are in the mind level, you are supposed to have emotions or you're supposed to experience emotions. We should not be afraid of it. We should, okay, this is natural. I'm feeling. And if I don't feel, what I'm here for? To a level where you witness feelings. So that's a transition from mind to consciousness. You start witnessing feelings, not rejecting them, nor manipulating them, nor trying to do something about them. You are just experiencing them. When you are happy, experience happiness. When you're sad, experience sadness. This is all part of the experience cluster of life. So many experiences. So when we have all these experiences and we are witnessing, oh, okay, so this is my life. I am born to experience this over time. And this is what I'm doing. And once this happens, Once the experiences are all done, and there is no time you can say, I'm done, because we don't know. Say, I am done, that's again mind interfering. I had enough, now I am done. It's not possible. Whatever comes, as long as it takes, it goes. Just to stay watching the show, like you're an actor, like watching a feature film. And the people watching the film will feel the emotion, but they know they are not playing it. They're watching, witnessing, feeling, going home. Some you remember, some you forget. Whether you remember or you forget, it's the same. And when you revisit an emotion more than enough, more than longer, understand that becomes your character, or that becomes your fear, or that becomes your love, or inclination, or a desire. What stays longer in your mind becomes something later. What does not stay, like a bubble, comes and goes. You may not even remember that. How many things of our past do we remember? Very little. So life is like that. It's a flow of events and corresponding experiences. Some are caught as memory. Some are not as not staying as memory. So when we start witnessing life like this, there is deep contentment and deep connection.
And when we are in that, or when we're attempting to go in that witness state, Mohanji, of watching our emotions and experiencing them instead of rejecting them, which is a lovely and refreshing perspective, because I can say for myself, when I was first starting the path, I would say, no, I'm angry, I must suppress it and sit on it and not do anything about it, or I'm being distracted, or someone said something upsetting, I must totally ignore my feelings. And I would find myself getting more and more worked up, like one puts a lid on a pressure cooker, and more instead of releasing it. So if you are in a situation though where you are attempting to experience all the emotions you have, even the ones that, you know, people might lump up in a negative connotation, like, you know, jealousy or anger, how does one deal with that if you are with, say, loved ones or friends or family members who are not very agreeable?
Well, all these things come and go, right? Nothing stays. And when do they exist? Only during the waking state. Same does not exist when you're dreaming or when you are in deep sleep. So we can actually understand they are all passing, and they have to create certain ripples, certain feelings. Once they created what they came for, they all leave. And also understand, like say, let's take one thing called jealousy. Jealousy is nothing but appreciation in disguise. When you are jealous about somebody, we are appreciating that person, but we don't have the that kind of energy or the momentum to tell him, I really appreciate you. You know, something in us blocks us telling so. That comes as jealousy. So everything is there is a positive in all these things. See, for example, anger. Imagine you want to tell somebody with intensity, just for them to understand. You can use the power of anger, but you should not be angry. When you become angry, you lose your mind, or you are completely helpless. But when you are expressing anger while you are not angry, that's your strength. So everything you take, like for example, revenge is a totally lost situation. When you have to take revenge on somebody, that's almost like a lost situation. But when you are witnessing the whole thing, and when you say, okay, this is happening, and I am kind of enjoying this situation, that time you are in control, you are in charge. So all situations like disappointments are coming out of expectations. When we have a lot of expectations, for example, perfection per se. Have you ever seen perfection static? Perfection cannot be static. You perfect on something, there is something else there. So there is never a state of perfection which is permanent. Look at another state: peacefulness, contentment. You have a desire, you fulfilled it for a brief period of time. Before the next desire comes, you have peace, contentment. How long contentment stays? Until the next desire comes. So look at life. When you look at life, you see that, okay, so this is the whole story. This is all that is. And then you will start looking at everything with a kind of, oh, this is fun. Life is fun. It's a flow. It's fun. So when you start taking life like that, things are very easy. You will say, okay, there is nothing serious about it. I'm just like a tourist backpacker on earth. I brought nothing here, nor I'll take anything from here. All you can possibly carry are memories of experiences. Every thought, every word or expression or action are only giving me experiences. I have used possessions and relations to enjoy or experience various aspects of life. And they are also not permanent. When we understand this, then you are like breezing through life. When we discard our ownership of action, this is me and this is mine, you start feeling completely relieved. Why was I carrying all this burden on my shoulder? Burden is a position. Burden is also a name. Just a name also can be a burden. I have to maintain this name. I have to maintain this reputation. I have to maintain. See, the I comes all the way, all the time, and says, this has to be like this has to be like this. I have to maintain my image. All these are mind related. Take your mind and throw it out. Then what you see? Nothing really matters. Life is flowing. Every experience is important when it is happening. Tomorrow it's not important. Yesterday it was not important. While happening, it's important. So that simple life is a moment to moment to moment experience. When you analyze, when you deny, when you suppress, what is the outcome? Discontentment, disappointment, disorientation, all these things happen because we are supposed to flow with time. We are flowing with time. Body is flowing with time. Mind is flowing with time, but we get stuck with certain things, certain concepts, certain theories, all those things. That's exactly what's spinning us down. See, look at the world today, that the competition is completely silly. What do you compete with? Another living being who's also experiencing the same thing. And like a comparison, who do we normally compare ourselves with? Somebody like Elon Musk or a rich person, rich or famous. But we have so many people who do not have food to eat at home. They are struggling to make both ends meet. We don't compare ourselves with them, so that we deny ourselves the opportunity to experience the blessings of life. Instead, we always complain, oh, I don't have that, which is higher than us, whatever we consider higher. So this is how the mind operates, or we are trained to think. If you just fine tune yourself and say, look here, I'm fine. I have place to sleep, food to eat, reasonable recognition, what I'm doing in the world. And if you have a purpose, clear purpose, such as raising the awareness of people around you to something like compassion or non-violence, then that itself is a motivation, inspiration.
And in learning these experiences, how does a guru's presence in life help with that? Is the physical presence of a guru required?
Well, I believe that there is nothing called a guru. There is the whole idea of a guru is somebody who has capacity to guide. See, there is a big difference between a teacher and a master. A teacher is somebody who has learned skills or learned things and is articulating them, teaching them to the world. A master is somebody who has emptied himself. That means unlearned, completely wiped everything out and existing in complete settled state. So when if you are connecting to a teacher, he will give you lessons as he has learned. If you go to a teacher of economics, he will teach you economics, the subject. If you go to a philosophy teacher, he'll teach you philosophy, theology, zoology, medicine, like that. So teacher's job is to teach what he has learned, while a master teaches nothing. His presence is the main thing. Presence of stable state, a presence as a stable state. That's the reason, that's the connection. So I don't think that a guru gives anything except himself. When I say himself, what does the sun gives us? The sun is not giving us anything. Sun's presence makes everything activated. Sun's presence activates things. God, where is God? Have we seen God? We have never seen God. And what is God according to us? God's presence activates a universe. So the activator of the universe is God. So basically, it's a presence. How is our soul? Have we seen our soul at all? Do we know there is a soul? We know there is a soul or an energy, so whatever you call it, soul or energy within us, because it's activating this being called us. This name, this form, this personality is activated by something, and that thing is what we call a soul, because we need to have some name for identification. So air is a presence. When do we know there is air? When we do not have air. We know when we suffocate, we know there was air, or there is air, possibility of air. So all the major things, whether it is God or a guru or your soul, they are all presence. They are not a form even for that example, a purpose. Their presence activates. So a true guru is one who activates, not because of his teachings. Teachings are only a small aspect of his presence. The path he follows, his teachings, his methods, his guidances, they are all very small aspect of what he actually is. So this is the whole story here. A guru's presence is important because you get to know that this is my aspiration. That state where I wanted nothing in life, or I'm happy with everything I have from life. That experience is the guru. And guru means somebody who has already dissolved himself is a guru. And does that mean the guru has no needs? Of course, if he has a body, he has every needs, probably more needs than a normal person. No, don't think that the guru, he has become enlightened, so now he needs nothing. He needs everything, and he is everything. He is everybody. He is the aspiration of all people. He is the whole emotion of the universe. He is probably even all the contamination of the universe. Everything becomes him because he is everything. So do not look at any master, enlightened master or a realized master as, okay, now he is completely free from all. No, he is expanded so that everything is inside him. So what he uses is different. What he projects is different. But what he is everything. So when you are connecting to a master, you are only connecting because you have that aspiration. to be that state. So when you connect to somebody and everything, the most important thing is unfailing connection. Most important, not teachings, not even following the teaching. Unfailing connection systematically, consistently, so that you become the other. That's the story of Hanumanji. When Hanumanji was deeply, Hanumanji's main prayer was, or main practice was, his surrender to his guru, Ram. He gave himself to Ram and became almost as powerful as Ram. That's because there's no separation between him and Ram. So this is exactly how it works. When you see the other as separate, you have things to do so that you don't separate. You are not separated anymore. Once you are united, then there is no question. All questions dissolve. You and I are one. Me and my Father are one, as Jesus said. So a guru is the aspiration of the right disciple, and the right guru for a right disciple is the frequency matching. If you get a guru who's not matching your frequency, you will understand nothing. But if you get a master who's really vibing with your frequency, result is transformation. What is transformation? One by one, drop by drop, all that you thought you need starts falling. And then finally, you would be happy to be you, contented, stable. And that state where nobody can disturb you, no emotions can bind you, that's a state of power, absolute power. And then it's your command. Things happen to you, things come to you, because you're not chasing any. You're not chasing anything. So this is exactly how it works. I hope I made it clear, because it's probably not so easy to understand, because we think that guru is a form, a person. It's not true. Guru is a presence, and the presence can come as anything. It can be a person, it can be nature, it can be a tree, it can be a plant, a wood, a stone, a person as well.
Can this presence change as one is going down their path of spirituality and their path of evolution?
It keeps changing in the sense like your clarity keeps changing. Initially, why do we need forms, guru in forms? Because you need a point of contact. You need something to talk to. Somewhere you get messages. Somewhere you need communication. For that sake, you need a person. But after a while, that communication is not the main thing. Like I have written in the book Mast, that the part where the guru was communicating to the disciple is very little. And after a while, there was nothing to say, nothing to hear, nothing to ask, nothing to listen, nothing, no answer, no question. But there was a deep inner connection. And that inner connection between them, which hardly needed any communication, made them as one. Then it was simple for the master to transfer his own fire into the disciple. So it's almost like one lit candle and many candles ready for lighting or getting lit. And at certain point in time, some candle comes close to the lit candle and automatically gets lit. You know, at its own time, its own pace, its own environment, right environment, this happens. So every candle will be lit someday, but some comes faster, some slower. All it needs is consistency, consistent connection. And also, the aspiration should be really, really strong. Aspiration to be themselves, not for anything outside. To be completely themselves, totally, through total acceptance, through total connection with oneself. Then when you are totally in stable state, when you are not shaking the glass anymore, the guru pours himself, I repeat, himself, into the glass. There's nothing else guru can give you. So a guru means somebody who has already found it. not the person who has learned and teaching. So what the guru gives you is himself. The best gift any person who has stabilized himself can give to the world is oneself. So that's exactly what the disciple gets. But the guru loses nothing. Like you light one candle from another candle, each candle have the same brightness or same flame, same type of flame. No flame is lost. Like that, every candles are lit. Guru is still lit. And even when the guru dissolves his physical frame, that flame continues to burn. Example, Shirdi Sai Baba, 100 years before he left his physical body. But now, even now, so many people are connected and they are all getting experience. As if he is actually walking with us, he is. So that's the thing, that there is no way you are bound by time, space, effect. You're never bound. So this aspect happens to a person while in the body, and it expands beyond dimensions once he leaves the body. So body becomes only a point of contact, a connection point, or a concentration point where you can concentrate. That's it. And then that energy works, and it's a huge teamwork. It's a big teamwork. The continuous the flow of energy, and it's a very, very beautiful teamwork. That is why it's a grand collaboration. The student and the teacher are grand collaborators. They collaborate with each other, and nobody is higher, nobody is lower. Like in one of the Upanishads, it said, when the disciple came to the Guru said, "Stay with me long enough so that I can know you and you can know me. Then we will search for God together." That's what he said. It's a grand collaboration. So it's not like a transactional relationship. I come to you for something, like we go to the shop to buy bread and we pay money, get the bread, and we go home. Then we have nothing to do with the shop. Not like that. This is a very sacred and very, very, very stable kind of state where you are connected to a guru. And actually speaking, a disciple is an extension of a guru, and guru is the extension of a disciple. Nobody is actually a permanent state. So a disciple, once he gets lit, he becomes a guru, or same as a guru, and guru remains the same. So everything is so beautiful and so interconnected. I hope this is not so too complicated to understand.
I think you're quite articulate, and it's very beautifully explained. And that connection that you're talking about, which is that silent connection, that introspective practice, I believe we're segueing almost into meditation, and how meditation is a modality that we can use to establish this connection. So is that something that you can speak of? People,
Meditation.
myself, want to have that connection, want experience in between. We maybe have half an hour, 45 minutes, but we don't know what to do with that time, but we yearn for these wonderful things that you talk of. So how can we incorporate a little bit of that into our lives if we want to have that type of connection?
Well, meditation is something where we park our mind on. So what actually is meditation? Where we have parked our mind more than a sufficient time, we are meditating. So we can meditate on work. We can meditate on cooking. So when you are before meditation, there should be concentration. So the whole idea is to bring the mind, which is scattered all over the world, to one point, and that too consistently. So when we are constantly focused on one material, one matter, or one thought, long enough, without deviation, we are meditating. That does not it does not mean that you need to sit down at one place. Like conscious walking, for example. We are walking and we are moving. We are allowing thoughts to flow. But at the same time, we are not with the thoughts. We are not participating in the thought process. So when your mind is focused steadily on something long enough, suddenly you will attain a state of peace, a peaceful state. What state we normally know is we have a desire and we need a fulfillment. For some time, we have peace of mind. Desire, fulfillment. Desire, fulfillment. In this mode are we existing. When we wake up, I need a tea or a coffee. You had the tea or a coffee, okay, now I feel fine. Then something else, then something else, then something else. So one by one, our inclinations and our desires are pushing us to move. I'm not talking about laziness, not that don't do anything and something will come to you. Not like that. You have to be clear about, or you have to understand that these desire patterns are always running or ruling us continuously. And we are asking for fulfillment. And most of our lives, we are slaves to our patterns. We can't come out of it. Because when we are trying to break the patterns, we feel miserable. Because we are so used to the patterns, we think this is life. But actually, that's not life. The life is not your patterns, not your mind structure, not even your constitution or personality. Life or the real freedom of life is when you need nothing or everything is okay. You are peace with everything. Whether something is existing or not existing, we are peaceful. So with that kind of a clarity when we live, that's where we start experiencing freedom. Not when we have tons of desires and we have opportunity to fulfill them. That's not freedom. That's actually being a slave to desires. So when at certain point in time you will feel, I have all these desires, but I really don't need to fulfill them. Without fulfillment, I'm feeling good. When that thing happens, then immediately you will start feeling a big relief. Oh, okay. That means even without fulfillment, I'm peaceful. There is a possibility of that nature. So that one point in time, you start to taste meditation, where you are not pressured by desires to think, to express, to act. Three levels where a desire works. A desire brings a thought to you. If the thought is powerful enough, strong enough, it moves into expression. See, let's say, I'll give an example of a coffee. A desire for a coffee gives that thought in your mind, I need a coffee. And sometimes, okay, no problem, I can have water, it's fine. Then the intensity of desire is weak. There's no clear desire. But intensity of desire is unavoidable, or and can't neglect it. Then what happens? You will express, hey, get me a coffee. I need a coffee. And then action, having the coffee. And then experience of having the coffee. After that, memory of having the coffee. Constant memory becomes pattern. Pattern starts becoming desire. This is how we live. So many things of our life, we know that we are helplessly tied to a flow of events. And that's a time when, how do you meditate? Be with that flow. When we are thinking, be aware. When we are expressing, be aware. Make sure that the mind is there, not unconsciously. When we are unconscious, we are not meditating. When we are conscious, we are with that particular thing, then we are with us. We are within our pattern structure. That can help us to go beyond the pattern structure. So when you are fully with the coffee, experiencing the coffee, then immediately you don't need another, because you had full contentment while having it. When we are expressing the coffee, be clear and aware. What are you talking? There you are meditating. So every point in time you can meditate. Meditation is a very extended subject. Now it will reach a level where you are sitting and watching the process of your thoughts, because thoughts you can't control. One thought leads to another thought, to lead to another thought. So many things trigger thoughts. Memories trigger thoughts, so many things. So fears trigger thoughts, desires trigger thoughts. All are triggering thoughts. Witness them. We are watching them. You're silently looking at them without any kind of uh, involvement, or you're not trying to get involved with these thoughts. That's meditation. That happens also simultaneously. So meditation is a state you can be. Like, for example, you can see cows after eating sitting down and chewing. It's a very meditative state. The job is done sitting down and chewing and chewing and chewing for hours. So you can see children meditating when they're playing with a toy, they are fully occupied in that toy. So everything you see, when you are giving full attention, there is an element of perfection. So meditation should be a constant thing. All the time we are meditating. Then, of course, we can meditate on an object. That means we are parking our mind on a particular object for a period of time. That's what Hanumanji did. He parked his mind at the feet of Lord Ram and attained all the powers. So when you are concentrating, when you are parking your mind on a particular thing or a particular object, that frequency connects to you, or you connect to that frequency, and eventually you become that frequency. That's the connection with an elevated master. See, the elevated master needs nothing from anybody. It's not that he's waiting for you to acknowledge him or pay money or to do something. What he needs is that he doesn't need anything per se, but even if he needs something from a student, is a student or a seeker, will be consistency. If you're consistent, then he can do something. Like the story of a Zen Buddhist monk, old man, he can't see well. One guy went to him and somebody told that he is a great master. Go to him, he can give you great things. So this man reached the master. Master asked, why did you come? So he said, I was told that you are very powerful and you can give me so many things. Oh, really? Somebody said so. Oh, then it must be true. Let's see, but let's have a tea first. Before we talk, would you like to have a tea? So he said, sure. He gave him a cup and a saucer, and this master with his shaky hands, old man, started pouring tea into the cup. The cup was filled, the saucer was filled, the tea started flowing down. Then this man who came, who the guest, told the master, the tea is overflowing. Then the master said, that is the problem. I'm getting all filled cups and the saucers. Then where can I pour more tea? See, this is what happens with most of the seekers. They come filled up. So the master looks at them and smiles. You unburden yourself and come to me, then I can fill you again. So many times people don't experience the highest because they come as filled cups with concepts, with theories, with notions, with expectations. They come filled. Then the master has nothing to give. And master will never force it. No master, no true master will ever say, I am the ultimate or I am the one. You come to me, I'll give you everything. Nobody will say like that. Like the Upanishad said, if you like me and I like you, only when we are connected long enough, we know whether we like each other. If we like each other, we'll search for God together. That's the truth. So that, there is no obligation here. There is no binding here. There's no fear here. We don't need to bind anything with fear. God is not to be afraid of. God is presence. God is freedom. And when we are that within, we connect to that frequency. When we are full of fear, when we are full of expectation, then there could be exploitation. Otherwise, nothing can change us, nothing can exploit us. So meditation, as I said earlier, it's a consistent and continuous state where you are completely in tune with yourself and nothing outside affects you. A state where you are in a mode of contentment. You are watching your desires, you're watching your fulfillment, you're watching everything unruffled. That's a state where you are constantly on a meditative mode.
And is this is the same thing as you talk about, which is you say awareness is key. We've heard you say awareness is key. Is this the awareness that you're talking about?
Awareness is being aware of who you are, what you are. What we normally are aware of is our name, our personality, what we are in the society. Very, very small things only during waking state. What we are in the waking state is what we are aware of normally. You know, we are so-and-so, I'm Mohanji. People recognize me as Mohanji. And all the things which I do in the world, this is what people recognize me with. But am I that? That's only one aspect or two aspects or three aspects of me. I have many other aspects. Likewise, each person has multiple dimensions. All people, all of us, we have huge variety of dimensions. We are never one thing or one person. But people recognize us with what we are predominantly expressing. You know, we recognize a doctor, a nurse, or an engineer, a scientist, because that's his predominant work. That's what we are recognizing them with. But are we that only? We are not, never. Nobody is one dimension, single dimensional. Everybody are multidimensional. In fact, we have approximately 330 million dimension or possibilities. That's what people talk about. Many dimensions, huge dimensional. I mean, we have potential of dimension. So when we know very well that we are all these dimensions, then where do you park yourself as beyond all dimensions? You know, I'm beyond all dimensions. Only then I can be all dimensions, right? That's the awareness that we should carry. First point is that we are not pinning our awareness on a personality which we are projecting. Second, we are not pinning on our name or a form or what we do in the society for a living or what we are in the society, whatever you are. See, for example, if somebody says Mayank is an actor, that's one part of your whole dimension. You are a person, first of all. You are an expression in another way. And then comes numerous other things. So when we are aware that, hey, this is all role play, I'm playing various roles, but the roles are temporary, actor is permanent, and I'm doing all these things because I have that experience of playing them, so that I know I'm not any of this. So that when you take a step backwards and become a witness to whatever you're doing, freedom starts there. Then you have better levels of perfection because you are experiencing it 100%. You're playing a role, you're slipping into the role and becoming the role. And you are really being that at that time because you don't care about what you're otherwise. And that's how we become completely everything. We have all those possibilities within us. So you can live many lives within one life. So this is exactly what we are aware of. We are aware that we are unlimited, and what we actually are, that's exactly where we are parking our mind. When we know that we are multidimensional or beyond all dimensions, we start experiencing grand freedom, great freedom. And then you start realizing, oh my God, I have been foolish to just put me as one small mind or a mind's projection and suffered. Why we are suffering is because we are not seeing the larger picture. We are seeing the smaller picture. In other words, we are wearing the shirt which we were wearing at the age 10. We have not understood that we are much larger than this shirt. But somehow that shirt was comfortable at that time, so we decided it will be comfortable at all times. So like this, we are in a kind of unconscious, repetitive mode. Awareness simply means being aware of the states and being aware of where you have started from. We have come from pure consciousness. A part of that pure consciousness sits as an energy within us. activating this personality. But we have still not deviated. So we have taken a detour called a life for experiencing whatever we came to experience or whatever we are experiencing moment to moment to moment. After a while, when these experiences are all done, we are getting back to where we started from, going back home. So it's like you came out of your house to go to the office to do certain jobs, and you came back home and you realize there is a home. So being aware of your home is one of the awareness, one aspect of awareness, where you have started from, where you belong. And then you have no problem to get back home because you know your way. You already know your way. You know where you belong to. You're neither the relations or positions or possessions. You're not the role plays. That awareness becomes clear, and then nothing can touch you because you know you can get back home anytime. And that becomes your reality. So we are constantly in this mode where we are believing that we are the limited being instead of the unlimited possibility. And then we restrict ourselves to think and act in a very small way because we have already set boundaries. Within boundaries, we already have a boundary of birth and death. Now, within that, we have set many boundaries like concepts, theories, do's and don'ts, many things, and say, oh, a master should behave like this. We put the frame to the master. Master is not living within any frames at all. He took a long time to destroy all frames, to be free. And disciples put a frame to the master and creates a handicapped master. Somebody who cannot move. And then say, master is not doing what we want. He's not good because he's not fitting into the frame. This is how society works. That's why we scandalize people or crucify people, because they don't live as per what you want. That's why Socrates said, instead of drinking poison every day, a little bit from the society together one time. So, because society doesn't understand a master. Society cannot understand freedom. Society believes freedom means being able to move, eat what you like to eat, sleep where you like to sleep. This is what they call freedom. That's part of the pattern. Freedom really means you need nothing from earth. That's when you actually start experiencing freedom. Everything coming is good. Everything not coming also is good. Everything happening in life is good. Not happening is also good. So that means we are unbound. That state of being unbound is freedom. And then our only purpose of existence becomes adding value to society, doing something good for the society where society elevates itself. So this is the awareness. It's a rather a broad subject, but this is a subject for contemplation. Awareness, we have to think all the time. What is awareness? So that we start designing dimensions of it, and everything is true. Nothing, you can't say that only this is true and another thing is not true. It's all true because we are multidimensional anyway.
Right. That was beautiful. Thank you, Mohanji. Wow, that's and you mentioned that when if there is a physical guru who's still in this body who has needs, we are also in the physical bodies and have needs, or even if we want that cup of coffee. So how, and this is and goes for someone like me who's grown up in the West, but I have a lot of heritage from the East. So how do I walk this path of like materialistic, one would say materialistic desires like job, money, wanting a house, perhaps even a family? How do I reconcile that with this path? Is it about having that awareness of where my original home is? Is it about that silent connection and introspection and meditation? How do I balance that? Because I find myself in that situation. I'm sure others do too.
Yeah, Maya. You are your home. You are your original state. You are where you belong. All those things are already sitting in you. Now you don't have to use your mind again to go back to where you belong to, etc. You are everything always. And my direct answer to that question is being natural. Being natural is fully accepting you as you are. Denial, suppression only means postponement. When we deny something or when we suppress something, that's exactly where the mind rests. When there is a desire and it seeks a fulfillment, and when you deny it or suppress it, that's exactly where the mind gets stuck. That's not a good idea. What we need is that we have to flow with life. Everything is okay in life as an experience. What is do's and don't? When we, for our experience, when we have to hurt somebody, I say avoid it. Don't hurt people through thoughts, through expressions or actions, because that leaves negative, heavy energy, which we can avoid. But whatever is not hurting anybody, why not? Why not? So we don't have to really keep a boundary for ourselves, because that's, I believe that these boundaries are illusions. And when we are natural, like for example, we can learn that from small children. When a child needs a toffee, it will shriek and shout and cry until he get it. We don't have to do all that, but we are all pretty grown-up children. We are not really become adults. We are children with a big size. I think nobody grows up in life. We are all children until we die, because we have needs, we have desires, we have a child in us, we have adult in us, we have everything in us. As I said before, we are multidimensional. And when we deny our multidimensionality, then it's a problem. So I would say that being natural is the answer all the time. Being natural, just be natural. Be you all the time. Be completely you. And people will appreciate your authenticity, because you're being you. Who can say you can't be you? You're already that, Now, tomorrow you want to be Sylvester Stallone. It's not possible. It's already taken. So you are you. The best you can be in this lifetime is being you. And that you be you with full dedication, full authenticity, full application. And that's the brilliant thing you can do in this life. Imagine you have some disappointment. Express that disappointment as you like. I'm not saying that shout and scream and throw stones at somebody. Not hurt anybody, but everything has to be told and expressed. So I believe that we have the right to be ourselves, and this is the right we have. Out of this right, everything else is responsibility. We should be, if you are holding a passport of a country, we should be responsible to that country in adding value to that country. See, when I go to many countries, I become part of that country who's hosting me. Even though I hold a passport of Bharat, when I go to various countries, I completely dedicate myself for the welfare of that country, the host country, because at that point in time, I support or I do something good I add value to that country. So like that, the entire life is filled with responsibilities, not rights. Right is to be you. That's the main right you have. Our major right is to be completely ourselves. And that nobody can question it, nobody can take it away, because that's your most authentic expression, most realistic, most authentic. So that nobody can question. But apart from that, it's all responsibility. So if we understand this, first of all, be natural, be you, totally, 100%. And don't worry about whether you have to return back to your past or future. That's not important. Be in the present fully, which includes past, which includes future. So present is like a big quadrant. Part of it is past, part of it is future. Present is not standalone. So be in the present. That's the best you can do. Start walking from where you're sitting. That's the best you can do. and be totally yourself as if it's nobody's business. Nobody has the right to question you. And that will give you a lot of power and strength. People will respect you for you, what you are, or people will respect you for being you, because that's your most authentic expression. People will love your authenticity. You know, I have not done anything in the world except being Mohanji. That's all I have done in this world. You know, don't think that I have given great teachings or philosophies, or that's all illusion for me. What I have delivered to this world is myself. Being myself is the most authentic thing I have ever given to this world. Some people like it, some people dislike it, which I cannot control. So you don't have to worry about who likes you or who dislikes you. Everybody cannot like you. Everybody cannot dislike you, because their frequency has to match ours to communicate. That's why I said it takes time to connect. And you should always allow that time to mature into anything. Now, a seed is put on the ground, it takes time to become a tree. One day it will not become a tree, and next day it doesn't start bearing fruits. So we need to give it time, space, energies, and just watch. So some of the relationships come together and makes it a great thing, and events happen. Great things happen in life. Sometimes relationship does not fly. Some relationship, we should not get disturbed about it. Some has to happen, some did not happen. It's all fine. A lot of flowers on the tree. Some become fruit, and a few of them fall after becoming fruit. Few of them stay on and become completely a ripe fruit. So life is like that. All our attempts may not be successful. It's okay. But at least attempt shows we have an intention. And that intention is registered in the universe. And at some point in time, that becomes reality. So let's have great intentions, and great realities will happen in the world. I only look at this way. Since I am walking this earth at this point in time, as long as I breathe here, eat from here, sleep here, I would like to deliver something good the way I can within my capacity. That's all what I think. There is no other responsibility for me. When somebody says, I don't like you, I don't want to be with you, it simply means I don't have responsibility over that person. So that relieves me.
Yeah, it's a very beautiful reminder for me, for a lot of us, that how acceptance is a very big part of this path as well, including, like you had mentioned earlier, about even the emotions or feelings that we would normally put in a basket and call them negative, but to fully be present and to experience it. But there's also some of us, who have experienced a lot of trauma, a lot of grief, a lot of tragedies in their life, from death or physical trauma or abuse, even addiction. And they're wanting to sit down, they're wanting to be present and watch their thoughts and to experience that connection, but they just find it extremely difficult to do that because the momentum of their experience perhaps is stronger than their desire in the current moment to experience peace or oneness. What can you offer to them? And a little segue of that, as I'm inserting in, is, does mental health counseling fit into that, in your opinions on that? So.
Counseling is extremely good, and counseling should happen much more than law or punishments, because I believe we can prevent a lot of issues through counseling right from the childhood, because many people have had traumatic childhood and they carry the scars of it. So I believe that we can do a lot through counseling. But one more thing about this is that if you give a clear purpose in life, or if people can develop a clear purpose in life, it should be a larger purpose. And if you give a clear purpose in life, that purpose will be inspiration. Even if there are failures, if the purpose is very clear, they will work for it. They may fall many times, but at least they will work for it. So purpose actually takes a person away from depressive moods. Mostly people do not have clarity of purpose, and that's why they feel quite down and depressed many times. Secondly, connection with people. First, I said counseling, then purpose, then connection with people who are positive by nature. See, many times people connect to people who pull them down emotionally because of past friendships or various factors of life. We connect to people who literally drain you and makes you feel miserable. Like I would say, avoid such company because you need to stay alive or you need to survive to keep others alive. So we need to have company of people who are positive by nature, who are great survivors, and connect to them so that their momentum, their energy will become inspiration. That's the thing. And when you have clarity of purpose, you are fearless. Example, Jesus. When Pilate told Jesus, if you repent, I'll set you free. Repent for what you have done, I will set you free. Jesus said, no, I meant what I did. Then rest was crucifixion. He knew it will happen, but he did not want to compromise on what he has done or what he was doing. So when you have conviction in your action, there's no fear. So fourth is conviction. Connection, after connection, conviction. You should believe in what you do. You should, this is exactly what I wanted to do in life. People may agree or disagree. Don't worry about people's opinions. Opinions change. When success happens, you are a good guy. When failure is, then you are a bad guy. So society is two-dimensional. They can only see this through the angle of their concept of success or failure. For society, usually money is success. But in reality, money can be a burden. Many rich people are only glorified watchmen of their money. They're filled with fear of losing money. They never enjoy life. That's not good idea. Somebody who has much lesser money, they will be experiencing that money and being happy. But many rich people, they don't know what to do with money, or they are afraid of this money getting stolen, and they cage themselves, suffocate themselves, and they die like that. See, have you seen people who get great gifts, keep it for another day to use? They don't use it. They don't experience it. And they say, okay, another time, better time will come, and that time I will use it. And finally, when they die, it will be sitting in the shelf. So this is how sometimes our constitution works. We are in the future. So life happens right now. We have to be here to experience life. So all these traumas and things we have to leave behind in the past. So we have to hold hands, tell them that's done. Now the memory you keep may attract such events back. So shed the memory. How do? You work with people who needs help. So your own suffering can become a solace to somebody. Like, for example, when my daughter passed away in a road accident, so many people came to me and sympathized with me. I went away from them because I didn't want, it's a personal sorrow, and I did not want too many sympathies. What happens when you get a lot of sympathy? It paralyzes you. It makes you immobile. You feel pity for yourself. Self-pity, dangerous. Self-pity is like cancer. When you entertain that, it binds you so much that you do not have any power to move further. So I went away from there. I went away from all these people. And to some people who was constantly calling to express his pity and sympathy, I said, please don't call me anymore. And they were very upset with me. But I had to take that decision, that stage. I didn't want to drown in that. And then what I did, I started doing projects and works within the capacity that I had with my money. And that's Amukher. Now 18 or 19 years old Amukher, and ACT Foundation in the world is it started from there. In 2003, I started that. So her name, her her visit on earth is still lives. It's still there. So you can turn a problem into a possibility. You can convert a situation of pain to a great possibility. So the pain to possibility is what we can guide people to. We can. And that needs people who have walked that path, not just theory. Theory won't work, and many people who express great joys in life are crying inside. So we can't really think that some of these people are well settled. They are all expressing their aspirations, but inside they are so unstable. So various people who have inspired people have not found it within themselves. They are talking theories. It doesn't work. You got to live it. You got to live your inspiration. You got to live your conviction. And those are the people who can guide the other people. First and foremost, you got to transcend a pain to a purpose, or you got to transcend your pain to a purpose. You should transform your pain, convert your pain to a purpose. And it should be a larger purpose. There should be no boundaries there. Then you can overcome anything. You can become powerhouses, very, very powerful people. And that will really, really shift you and the world. We all have that power. We all have that in us. But what limits us is that our notions and our lack of purpose in a way. We are not thinking big. We are satisfied with something small. I wake up in the morning. If I have a coffee, I'm happy. There ends the story. And then eat, drink, sleep, die. This mode we are operating. Nothing is happening in life. You look at the world. Mostly you see nothing is happening in life. No movement. We are completely caged by our mind. So when even our idea of freedom is freedom of movement or freedom to eat what we like, this is our idea of freedom. So we are conditioned and caged by our own mind. But our possibility is multidimensional. We have great, great possibility. And that's exactly what we should always remember.
You actually touched on something it's a big issue here in the United States, mental health, suicide. Last year we had more than 45,000 suicides, and the bringing yourself from pain to transformation or transcending one's pain is more than invaluable thought process of going from A to B. But there are also a lot of people, Mohanji, who have greater conviction of ending their life or, committing suicide, or maybe they have friends or families who are constantly going in and out of that, as a loved one who's, for example, hypothetically, if I know a friend who's constantly going in and out of these types of states, what do you say, to the person who's in this fog, who can't get out of that conviction of they want to end it? And B, what do you say to the loved ones or offer to them any advice on how to help and where to also put boundaries in a healthy manner?
Yeah, I believe that we cannot teach anything or we cannot guide anybody unless we live it. Our biggest expression is our own life, not our words or our speech. So we have to start living positivity. We have to move in positivity, and we have to be leaders. We all have leadership quality in us. That amount, that's connected to one, purpose; second, conviction; third, consistency; fourth, integrity. These things are very important. When we have a clear purpose, we should be consistent with the purpose. We should believe in it. We should have conviction, and we should have integrity. That means we should not pretend that this is it. So when we do that, when we are in that mode, and this is not difficult, because a lot of people need a lot of things. See, like, for example, when we were in Peru, we were speaking to some people, and their children are not even having one meal. They're walking miles to school expecting food, and mostly when they reach the school, there's no food there. So when we know that the world is existing in such imbalance, everybody can contribute in some way. I'm just giving one example. But even in our neighborhood, like for example, we did a festival recently in Belgrade. That was just an expression for me in this time of COVID, when there were no festivals, there were no celebrations. I wanted to bring a celebration aspect into a life, which worked wonderfully well. Instead of a retreat, we did a festival, and it completely opened up people. People came from many countries. Not only that, that gave them a kind of momentum and inspiration, say, we can do something here. So it's not difficult to take people off from a state of pessimism to a state of purpose. So pessimism to purpose is possible, provided we believe in it and we live it. It's not theorizing it. Theorizing doesn't work for a long period of time. We have to live it, and we have to consistently live it. We should have integrity. Also, people who are pessimistic or negative will throw stones at you. They may try to crucify you. Let that be. There's no problem. But our purpose, our clarity should never be compromised. That's what I said. There are no permanent lovers nor permanent haters. They all change their mode each time. Sometimes there is love, sometimes there is hate. All this is part of the drama of life. We should always be love. We should always be compassion. We should always be kindness. We should not sponsor, endorse, or buy anything which is of negative by nature, like anger, hatred, jealousy, revenge. These are all not our cup of tea. We should live compassion. We should live kindness. We should live non-violence. And that's exactly what we can deliver to the world. Secondly, what we consume through our physical body has a great role to play in our mental state. What we consume. What we consume through our mind, which is emotion. This has a great role in emotion, also expectation. I would rather pitch together these two things. Emotion and expectation. Expectation unfulfilled become desire, a disappointment. So emotion, expectation, these two are consumed by mind. Information that comes into the intellect. What intellect gets to process the information. What information are we getting these days? Confusing information. Informations of corruption. Information of tragedies, wars, bloodshed, destruction, disappointments, displacements. These kind of informations are we processing with our intellect. And the residue which all these leaves is pretty much same. What body with all the toxic food, that food which we get, the processed or whatever food we get to eat, food with murder behind it, torture behind it, suffering behind it, those food is not suitable for our body. A food that comes to our plate should be free from torture, murder, and all these things. And the food that comes to our plate should have seen the sun and connected to the energies of the world. Purified, good food or pure food. We don't sometimes get it. Now emotions coming inside. All these dramas and things and emotions and disappointments, this comes as a mixture, and it gives obesity to mind, mental obesity. Then comes intellectual things, the information that we get to process. There are three processors basically. One is mind processing emotion, intellect processing information, and ego processing things connected to our personality, like position, possession, relation. All these processors get contaminated stuff. A relation with expectation is a contaminated relation. You know, when the pure relation is that it should be unconditional. I love you because I don't need anything from you. Just imagine the purity of it. I love you because this is the only thing I have. I love you not as an option. This is what I am. I am love. So I can give you only what I have. If you think in those terms, and another aspect of, we call it love, but it's just a pretension. But imagine, I love you if you give me something. That means love has a transactional nature there. There's an expectation. That's a contaminated state where it's conditional. Whenever something is conditional, it's contaminated. If you don't do this for me, I will put you in trouble. It's blackmailing. That's contamination. If I have to do something for you, you have to bribe me. Contamination. So when this is the factor, we got to slowly create a vibration in the society towards the positive possibility, such as we don't need anything from earth except place to sleep, food to eat, clothes to wear, sometimes health care. Apart from that, nothing else we need. And contentment is every moment thing. If we are satisfied with the food that comes to our table today, which if it is non-violent, great food, then we are happy. That gives a message of purity to the world. And when we consistently give purity, the message of purity to the world, the society starts becoming brighter. When it becomes brighter, there is hope implanted in it. Hope. And hope starts growing in the minds of people. You have a society which is hopeful. And hope brings that reality. Not like a messiah coming or taking you off one day. Not like that. We are all messiahs. We are all having the same capacity to make a change in our life. In our life. I'm not talking about the world. We have to make the change in our life. We have to live it in the society and let that light spread everywhere. We talk about this in the world. Look here. We can have two choices. One is react to the world all the time. Oh, this is not right. That's not right. Activism, throw stones, burn buses. This is one aspect. Another is respond to the world. If something is not going well in the world, why can't we set it right in our life? I'm not endorsing corruption. I'm not endorsing torture, exploitation. I'm not endorsing any exploitation of earth. I'm not endorsing any exploitation of human beings or any beings. I am with all beings. All lives matter. Imagine that kind of an outlook and we live it. At least some people will get attracted to it. And they will say, look here, you're talking sense now. And out of 8 billion people today, imagine 500 million people start liking it. That's transformation for this earth. It's collective consciousness shift. So all the things that we talk about, we have a hand in it. We can do it. We can make a change. But we should believe in it. We should have conviction. See, I cannot do something because you said so. If it's not suitable for me, it will not be real for me. I will do it because I love you, but that's temporary. I do it because I want to do it. That's forever. So we can bring people out of their states easily by leading them to light. But we should have light inside. We should have the light of awareness inside. We should believe in all this. And first of all, we should eradicate violence from our food, eradicate violence from our activities, our expressions. That's how we cultivate and instill a lot of patience. We should have tremendous patience, and faith. Faith should be primarily towards yourself. You should believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, you can't believe in anything. People say, I believe in Jesus, I believe in Krishna, I believe in Buddha. When you ask, do you believe in yourself? The answer is no. Then there is no belief. So it's easy to park on somebody and say, I believe in that. But that belief will be, the rope will be expectation. The connection will be expectation. And what happens? Oh, Krishna did not do this for me, so I don't believe him now. So it's temporary. But the moment you start believing in yourself, all your belief will become very strong because they're fundamentally strong. Fundamentally, is belief in yourself. It's very strong. When it becomes very strong, every other connection is strong. I always tell people, if you do not have faith in an activity, better not to do it. Because when you do an activity without belief in it, it's weak, and result is disappointment. But if you really believe in something, don't hesitate to do it, because that's a grand experience. And then unite people. We should love everybody as our own expression. Why did somebody come in our life? There is a reason. Respect that reason. Nobody comes to our life for nothing. If somebody has come to our life, out of 8 billion people, there is a reason. If somebody is listening to us, there is a reason. We should have complete integrity and complete honesty to that thing. Not that we can change for everybody. We should not. We have to be ourselves. That's the most authentic expression. But we have to understand that all these are our own expressions. All these people, all these beings, whether it's a dog or a cat or a person, it's all same. Everybody has character. Everybody has aspirations. Everybody has requirements. So all are same. So we should completely be honest with all these relationships. Just look at the power we can generate. This we can spread in the people around us, and that will bring forth all the positivity in them. There will be hope in their lives, and that will bring forth great transformation.
Mohanji, in hearing you talk, I'm very much affected by, and I'm hearing constantly how sensitive and how receptive we are to the consumption from everything from our minds to our eyes to our thoughts to our mouths. And I think, well, I'll speak for myself and hopefully others can relate, but I think I'd never realized how hypersensitive we actually are and how affected we can be by information coming at us, or what we put in our minds or in our mouths even, or what we choose to see or associate with. Part of the choice that I have, or like I'm sure many other spiritual aspirants, is the choice of sitting down to connect. And part of it is being present, part of it is enjoying, say, the cup of coffee or being in the company of like-minded folks, but sometimes it's wanting to sit and meditate. And you spoke in the past about having a focus or attention of wherever you put your attention, that's where you vibrate, whether you're in the presence of a master, a teacher, or whether you're in the presence of the cup of coffee, but the attention can go somewhere. So the question I have for you, in the practice of meditation, you had once talked about focus or attention on the spine. And so I wanted to ask you about that modality, and can you help us all understand this type of practice?
Yes, that I think is a very simple way of recognizing ourselves or our multidimensionality. For example, our usual operating platform are through our senses. Mind travels out through our eyes, through our nose, through our ears, through our mouth, skin. 5 senses. That's how the mind can operate. The whole life means a broad experience or moment by moment experience. That's all what we are here for. And of course, you are expressing your own uniqueness in the world. Some people do express, some people imitate other people, and then they don't have that clarity either. And people don't like imitations. They like to see authenticity. So when you start remembering your spine, even if you close your eyes and remember the spine, no need to meditate. Just remember the spine. Spontaneously, you will know that your dimensions are shifting. It's very simple. Automatically, your attention comes here on your third eye, the space between your eyebrows, a little bit above. When you connect your spine and sit, spontaneously your concentration or your awareness rests on your third eye. That means you've grown or you're moving above your senses. So if you are constantly being aware of spine, you are on a witness mode. that gives you witnesshood. Means not to the level of I'm doing, to the level of it's happening. I'm a witness to the happening. When you are a witness to the things happening in your life, you don't have ownership. You have freedom. When you don't have ownership, you have freedom. So it takes you to freedom, a state of freedom completely all the time. So that's why when from spine, when you are in frontal mode, frontal lobe mode, means you are always front-footed, you are moving in the peripherals of fears, insecurities, and anxieties. From there, you shift. When you become a witness, it's happening through me. So from fear to freedom is the transition. From being a victim of the pattern to a witness to patterns. That's a shift. So that happens when you just remember the spine. I'm not even telling to meditate. While you're walking, while you're sitting, be aware of spine. So spontaneously your awareness shifts backwards to the spine and your detachment starts taking place from the world in front of you. You become a witness. That doesn't mean that you're running away, you're escaping, you're being that. It's no problem. But this is exactly how it operates.
Someone had asked that, and I can relate to this certainly, that they have an affinity towards all different paths. There's bhakti, which is devotional, jnana, wisdom, seva, is through the service karma yoga, or raja, introspective. So they are asking that they're not clear which one is for them, and will one clear path reveal itself, or do they need to do something to figure it out?
As I said before, we are multidimensional. A part of everything sits in us. But what suits you is what's effortless for you. To know what's my path, just ask yourself, which of this is most effortless? Not what the say, oh, if I don't go there, what will that guru think? If I don't do this, will the God be angry? These are all immaterial. Nobody is angry with you. People will be the true masters or true gods do not need anything from us. So we don't have to really worry about pleasing somebody. Instead, be real to you. You should say, okay, this suits me. This particular activity suits me. And that's what you should do. Like the shirt you wear, that it should be the right fitting, otherwise it's uncomfortable. So when you do an activity which is uncomfortable for you, you cannot have longevity of that activity. So this is important to know. So you need to know that any activity, for its longevity, you need to like it, or it should suit you. That frequency should match. Whether it's a personal relationship or an activity, the frequency should match, otherwise you cannot relate to it. So the sign of the right path is that path which suits you effortlessly. And you feel, oh, this is what I've been looking for. Sometimes when we meet a person, we feel the same. This is the man or the woman I was looking for. When you meet that person, the frequency immediately connects. But we meet hundreds of people, and maybe there is no connection. That means of all frequencies do not match spontaneously. That's why the master tells the disciples, spend enough time so that you can understand me and I can understand you. And if we like each other, or if we connect to each other, we can search for God together. So don't jump into any relationship or any connection with anything, even a guru, blindly. You should connect, assess, analyze, and connect again. And if it suits you perfectly, or at least to a great extent, if that frequency is comfortable for you, then it's real for you. Otherwise, it's all infatuation or imagination or hallucination, all those things. They don't hold water. When you are connecting to somebody, imagining something, sometimes disappointment is the result. So we should not connect to anybody, for that matter, because somebody told so, because somebody said so. Because what I like, you may not like. We are all different individuals. Our likes and dislikes are different. Our life purpose itself is different. So we should not think that, oh, this person who loves me has told me, so I must do it. Not like that. You need to use your brain. You need to use your understanding, awareness. Take time, connect. And if you are not able to connect, be bold enough to say, I'm not able to connect. This is not my cup of tea. That's good to say, because that will keep your self-esteem high. Instead, we say, oh, somebody said so, so I have to do it. Not like that. That's a sign of insecurity or fear or lack of stability. I would like all of us to be very stable, and also remember, if something has come to us, it's been sent. We have something to do with it. Otherwise, it will not reach us. Whether it's a person, a material, a matter, a space, or a time, if it has come to us, we have something to do with us. So have patience to understand that. Look at it objectively. And if it is understandable, or if you are able to connect to that, then it's a good idea, because probably you may get great fulfillment with that, what has come to you. Not what you search for. Many people spend their whole life searching for something and they don't find it. What is the best thing to do? Handle what has come to you properly. That's more realistic. Not search for something which you don't have, or which you don't have access to. Instead, accept, appreciate, and do something with everything that happens in your life, whether it's a relation or a piece of advice or a situation or a time. And then you can transcend them easily. Then you can transcend them very easily. So this is something which you have to always remember.
In oftentimes when one is meditating, we can sometimes have glimpses or feelings of shanti, of peace, of oneness, and sometimes those moments fleet, but sometimes they're there. But those are feelings. And some are wondering, how does the consistent practice of meditation, how can and does that eventually translate into the health processes of the physical body? Is there an effect of it? Is it psychosomatic? Some people think, oh, you just feel good, so automatically your body becomes good, or is there truth to that? So I was wondering if you can explain to some folks who are interested in meditation or interested in that path or that question, to see, is there an actual connection there, and what you have to say about that, Mohanji.
Yes, we have multiple dimensions, as I said earlier. And when we transcend the body, when we transcend the mind, when we transcend the times like waking state, dream state, deep sleep state, each transition gives us different realities. And if you are looking at from the body and mind, it's desire and fulfillment. That's the state we are in. Desire, fulfillment, desire, fulfillment. And that fulfillment gives temporary state of peace or tranquility. Then again, desire comes, another fulfillment. So a state of no desire is the only time when you are experiencing peace, usually. It transcends to a state where even if you have a desire or not, you don't really crave for fulfillment. I've experienced all this. This desire is coming from my memory, and I don't really need to address it. When you reach that stage, then the peace state is longer. We can call it samadhi state where mind is unruffled, mind is at rest. And then it comes when you are not really fulfillment oriented. Desires are still there, thoughts are still there, but you are not really fulfillment oriented. You are in a state of peace all the time. Then these thoughts will be like a pedestrian outside your house. Means you don't even recognize those thoughts because they are not pushing you for fulfillment. Then the peace is longer. Means unruffled mind is longer. When that state lasts for some time, the whole mind collapses, because the pillars that hold the mind are thoughts. Thought itself is dying because desires are not happening. When desires are not happening, fulfillment is not required. So when fulfillment is not required, experience is not required. So what happens? The whole mind structure collapses. When mind structure collapses, you are only in the present. Your past, present, and future aspect also diminishes. Body has past, present, and future because it's temporary. Mind has past, present, and future. It's temporary. Intellect and ego has past, present, and future because it's connected to materials around you. So these processors stop doing what it normally does because there's no much external data to process, because there's no fulfillment aspect. And when thoughts collapse the mind, or thoughts fall and mind collapses, then you are completely always in a state of unruffled mind. Mind is completely still. That's a higher state of samadhi. So all these states are our possibilities in one human existence, in this life. So level by level, layer by layer, layer by layer, you can evolve. But always remember, there's a trap here. Some people say, I have a desire, but I'm suppressing it because I want to transcend. It never works. It never works. Suppression is only postponement. Denial means postponement. What is right is when you are at it, experience it 100%. That's the best you can do. That means you are regulating your experience with full awareness, or you are not even suppressing. When it's happening, you are completely experiencing it. Then you don't need a repetition. Imagine you are having a pizza. You're fully with the pizza. You completely enjoyed it, relished it. And then you don't need that repetition anymore. So like that, each time you spend, then the mind becomes quieter and quieter. Along with it, total self-acceptance. We need to accept ourselves totally, 100%. Means we are a unique creation, we are unique, we are authentic, we accept ourselves totally. That will help us to stabilize. So there is no conflict with us for ourselves. We don't have a fight with us. We are not criticizing, judging, or comparing, or even competing. We are completely being ourselves as we are, as authentically we are. And from that point, when we interact with the world outside, it has great power. And that then you are not affected by the world outside. When you're not affected by the world outside, you are in a stable state of samadhi. That's the state Buddha was, that's the state Krishna was, that's the state all these great masters were. So when you are completely in acceptance of yourself, when you are totally in acceptance of the world outside, when you see your own reflection in everybody and everything, when you're not judging, criticizing, comparing, competing, being angry, all those things, then you are fully at peace. Even if we have one desire, understand the mind is needed there. One desire. So all desires have to dissolve eventually without suppression. But all desires does not need fulfillment if we have awareness on top of it. And even if it needs fulfillment, go for it, but with full awareness, mindfulness, so that you completely experience that thing, whether it is happiness or sorrow, we are fully experiencing that, so that it gets washed away. Then memories won't happen if we have come in terms with it. Memories will be there, but they won't bother you. And memories also start diminishing when you are fully experiencing and you are fully erasing that. So when memories are not there, chances for desires are also less.
And for someone who's wanting to maintain that samadhi state, but they're afflicted with, like a terminal illness, as an example, or a great amount of suffering, or maybe it's a family situation, because I'm part of advocacy for healthcare in our country in the United States. Some of us are caregivers to people who are suffering a lot, and that takes a lot of energy on our end as a caregiver, but also watching our loved ones suffer. How do we maintain this samadhi state when everything externally may seem to not give us an opportunity to even sit down to experience a samadhi state?
Yes, that has nothing to do with it. In fact, state of samadhi is a perpetual state. You don't have to go for it. It stays there. It's self-activated or it's self-created. You are only raising your frequency to the level of acceptance where the state happens to you. You're not creating nor are you maintaining any state of samadhi. When the desires are less, when you are in total acceptance, it comes to a state where you are completely at peace. See, we can definitely, if body conditions are bad, it will give pain. If with acceptance, it does not give suffering. Okay, this is my condition. And if I can do something about it, fine. Like recently, I was reading about one boy who died. He had cancer and he had tremendous pain. And he was, when the doctors told him he has very little time to live, he started a YouTube channel. And he started motivating a lot of cancer patients. He died at the age of 23 or 24. But for a few years, like from 20 to 23 or something, he started doing YouTube videos and motivating people to survive the trauma of it. And he made a lot of difference in the society. A lot of people came to see him when he died, see his body when he died, because they all respected him for what he did. So 2 or 3 years, the time when they realized he has cancer and the time he died, he fully used the time for positive things. So that is also possible. So the acceptance and non-resistance, remember these things. When resistance happens to a situation, suffering happens. Suffering is caused by resistance. When acceptance happens to a situation, okay, this situation has happened, I accept the situation. Now, what can I do with it? Today, to talk to the world, you can sit in the room and talk. So like we are talking now, I'm sitting in Finland and you're sitting in Los Angeles, but we are communicating with everybody. So the opportunities and the possibilities are great. So how we approach life can be changed. We can motivate people to transform a pain to a purpose, and also connect to like-minded people and hold hands. Even if we know we don't have a great life ahead. See, I do not know when I will die. Any day I can die. We all can die any day. So, and how we will die also, we don't know. But we know very well that we have a lifespan here. We don't have like if you are living 80 years, it's 29,200 days. That's all we have. So whether it's illness or health or whatever situations are, one day we have to leave. So what can we do within this time? How we can transform the world in our own way with our skills or our situations or whatever we are in, whatever condition we are in. That's the best we can do. And I think everybody can do something about it. What we have in abundance, we can share. For example, tremendous pain because of a body condition. You can talk about pain as a friend to somebody. And then that other person will start looking at some pain. Oh, this is my companion. We are living together. Like that, you can transform to something positive. I think you would have heard the story of two old people, sick people in one room. One guy was close to the window and the other guy was not close to the window. So the guy who both of them can't walk well. So they can't get up and go. So the guy who's not close to the window asked the other guy, what do you see outside? So he said, there's a beautiful garden, and on the other side of the garden, there are children playing football. Hey, look here, he's scoring a goal and all these things. And he was entertaining the guy by the sight he had. And that kind of gave images and various images in his mind, and he was feeling great about it. And after a while, the guy who was near the window died. Then this guy was shifted to that bed, and somebody else came to this bed. When he looked out, it was just a wall. There was nothing there. So all that he was telling was his imagination, what he saw sometime earlier. But what happened to this guy, he was greatly enjoying that whole, it was as if he has seen all that. So this is how life works. We can definitely do something in every state we are in, provided we have accepted that state as inevitability, and then see what best we can do from that situation. I feel that our relevance never ends, even with death. You know, we can really leave our signature on the ground and go. There are great people who have done that. The people whom we remember today are those people who have signed on earth and went. People remember them. That's why Krishna lives today, Rama lives today, Hanuman lives today, Jesus lives today, Buddha lives, Socrates lives. All these people are still living. They never went because they left a signature here. We can all do that. We have that power. You know, there's nothing called dead end.
Well, that's something that makes me very sad, because I feel like there is a dead end coming to this beautiful exchange we're having. Mohanji, I would love to talk with you so much more. And unfortunately, we are limited by time in this physical reality. And I just wanted to thank you very much for all of your wisdom and for sharing your perspective and your practices. I cannot thank you for this opportunity to allow me to ask you questions that were on my minds and on the minds of so many others around the world. And thank you so, so much, Mohanji. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for this time and this particular event. And thanks to all the people who are behind it, especially Ganesh, Lata, Obengduro, Manu Gupta, Ashtamurti, all the team members of America, and all the people behind the curtain and in front of the curtain. Everybody, I love you all. Thank you for this union.
Wow, what an experience.
Wish you great success, great health.
Thank you, Mohanji. On behalf of the USA country team, the USA family, I offer my deepest gratitude to Mohanji for his time to talk to us today on a wide range of topics and clarifying some key questions from our participants. As always, the clarity and lucidity of Mohanji's expositions are truly powerful, wonderful, and insightful. I do hope that each and every one in this meeting and all the viewers on Facebook and YouTube channels are feeling energized and inspired. Thank you, Mohanji. Mayank, thank you very much for adding vibrancy to this session. Your naturality added so much value to this discussion, and it was so much fun watching this session. I thank all the participants for their time. Your participation and support encourages us to bring more such programs for you in the future. We are grateful for your support. This program was successful because of the hard work and enthusiasm of a large number of people who came together. The USA Action Team worked relentlessly for the past several weeks. Thanks to each and every one of you. Thanks to the Mohanji office, the Executive Assistant's office. Special thanks to the AV team, Anya and Neil, for their expertise in making this happen. Special thanks to the creative team. As always, they've been very responsive and prompt to our requests. Thanks to the social media team for their support and assistance. Thanks to all the teams within the Mohanji organization, as well as our external collaborators who help promote this event. So please do stay in touch. You could join us to participate in our programs or volunteer to support various activities around the US. We will share a registration form at the end. You can join our WhatsApp group, and do like our Monji USA Facebook page. What I did not overlook to mention is that our wonderful family in Sedona, headed by Laurie and Natesh, actually have several people in the pavilion in the outdoor, and they have this whole satsang being streamed on a large screen. So we are going to be, shifting to them. Please stay tuned. Mohanji Acharya, Natesh Ramsel will now, of course, conclude this session with a kirtan offered with love to and devotion to Mohanji. So thank you all. Do stay tuned, and let's move to Sedona, where there is a big party happening. Thank you.